Good afternoon.
I would like to introduce Teresa Hitchcock, who's the Director of Employer State Resource.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here. This is the fourth in a series of meetings that we're holding in order to update our four-year plan that's required by the state of California. We do have a four-year plan. As part of the update, they required us to kind of expound on some of the areas, and so reaching out to folks who have English as a second language was one of the areas that they wanted to see us become more in depth on. So I'm happy to see so many people here on this topic. I don't know how many of you know this, but Employer Sharing Resource is also the 167 grantee for Kern County. And so there are 5 167 grantees, which are actually for our migrant seasonal farm worker populations within the United States. And so we're happy to have that grant, which helps us work with some of our folks who are English as a second language, but we're also looking at how we partner with others in order to make sure that we're giving the most comprehensive services possible. So I'm happy to see you all here and hope to have lots of good input on how we might expand our services. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Michael.
Thank you. Again, as Teresa said, thank you all for coming on this afternoon. We very much appreciate it. As you notice, it says building and sustaining successful workforce partnerships. That's what this is all about. And we've had, this is our 4th local planning forum. We've had 2 regional planning forums, and we have 2 left. For those of you who have not received this when you came through the door, I would appreciate if you picked one up. We have 2 more convenings, and all I can say is thank God. But we have one coming on Tuesday after Veterans Day, and that's at 1:30, and it's indices, and it really is about self-evaluation of how we are doing as a region in terms of workforce development. And then we have another, in the last forum, which is on December 4th at 1:30, that discusses re-entry services. We had a prior reentry partnership forum that was held last month, and it's just a continuation, and we would really appreciate your attendance to those. As Teresa said, this is really important. The state not only has mandated, and we'll go into that in a second, to have these convenings, but the mere fact is that it really helps us work together as partners and to expand our partnership to help individuals in our community. So I do appreciate it. A couple of points before we start. I personally want to thank Thatcher, as well as who's going to be speaking later, as well as Bonita and Kern Community College District. They have been phenomenal with regards to assisting in regards to the local plan, as well as putting up with me, and I do appreciate that. A round of applause, please, for both of them. Also, as I've done from each of the convenings, I want to thank our marketing department, particularly Marco, for being able to record our convenings. And the reason why it's so important is because for those of you who aren't able to come, and give an example, EDD staff or equipment development staff today has a symposium up in Visalia, and they weren't able to attend. So this allows not only the public, but also allows agencies who couldn't make it today to be able to see and hear what is going on. So Marco, thank you so very much for all your help. Also, and finally, I want to thank, as I've done for all the convenings, the Beale Library, or the Kern County Library System. Without them, we would not be able to hold these convenings in this awesome auditorium, and it has worked out very well. In fact, we, as you know, we're the Kern Inyo Mono Workforce Development Board, and this has allowed us, I asked, and they have teleconference that they made special for us, so that way that we can have Mono and Inyo County involved in this process, and we really appreciate them sincerely. So let me start off, kind of giving you a history of why we're here and what has developed. So under the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, which we call WIOA, each local workforce development board was required to prepare and submit a local workforce plan to the California Workforce Development Board for program years 2017 through 2020, which actually covered July 1st of 2017 to June 30th, 2021. And the plan had to be consistent with this, our local plan had to be consistent with the state plan, which is the controlling state policy for the local workforce development boards. The primary purpose of the local workforce plan is to ensure access to workforce services at the local level, where services will be integrated, resources graded, and supportive services provided to individuals being served by WIO partners, primarily operating into the America's Job Center of California, formerly known as the One Stop Career Centers, but potentially through other partners of the workforce system as well. And give an example. Although Kern Community College District is a WIO partner, we had a forum relative to child support services, and they are not a WIO partner, but the state has entered into agreements with child services in order to be able to provide better workforce services to individuals who are under the non-custodial parent. So we've improved relationships by going through this process. In addition to local workforce plans, local workforce plans are required to ensure a baseline of WIO core program alignment compliant with federal regulations at the local level and in and through the AJCCs, so that way that the core program and mandated services are coordinated and, when appropriate, integrated to make accessible a menu of customized services available to customers on the basis of their needs. In preparing the local workforce plan, local boards were required to consider alternative ways to provide services and the necessary supports to guarantee access for members of the population with barriers to employment to ensure that they move through the system seamlessly. On October 13th of 2017, the Kern Inyo Mono Workforce Development Board, as we call KEM, submitted its local workforce development plan ahead of the deadline of March 15, 2017. The state board approved the workforce development local workforce plan on September 1st of 2017. And by the way, if anyone would like to have a copy of the plan, please feel free to email me. My email address is here, but it's available on the handout at the last page. And this is starts as, that was the history, this is the reason why we're here today. Under WIOA, a biannual update of local workforce plans is required in order to ensure the plan remains current and accounts for changes in the labor market and economic conditions, and in addition, other factors that are affecting the implementation of the local plan. In addition, the state board has made changes to the state plan, which requires that the local boards update their plans to keep them consistent with the policy direction of the state plan. So the local planning topics in 2019, which is when this plan is going to be submitted, it's March 15th, the modification of the local plans will address the following. There are four mandatory topics. One is improving services to individuals with disabilities through competitive integrated employment. We actually had a forum on November 1st that talked about how can we improve services to individuals with disabilities. And we actually learned a lot, and I know that DOR is, Representative DOR is here, and we continue to look forward to working with them to improve services. The next mandatory topic was strengthening partnerships with local child support agencies to serve non-custodial parents. And we did have a convening on that as well on November 1st. And it was attended by the community, and it worked out really well. In fact, one of the great things that has transpired out of doing these local plans is that, and I don't know if many of you know this, but individuals who are the non-custodial parent who fail to pay child support, their licenses can be revoked. So what we're because of the preparation of these local plans, I've been in a position to be able to talk to our Teresa Hitchcock, who is our director, and talk to Elizabeth Chavez, who's the director of Child Support Services here in Kern County. And what we're going to do is, in many of the AJCCs, we're going to have a kiosk that provides live, communication with individuals at Child Support Services. So that way, that if the individual is looking for a job, a non-custodial parent is looking for a job, and their one impediment or barrier is that they, their driver's license has been revoked, this will allow them to communicate directly with Child Support Services and to have that issue resolved. And so instead of having to leave the AJCC to go to Child Support Services where they just moved on Buck Owens Boulevard, they'll be able to do that directly at our center. And so that's the great thing about the AJCC, and that's the reason why they call it a one-stop center, is so that people don't have to travel to go to different agencies to get the services that they need. In addition, another topic, another topic that was discussed earlier, and I see many of the same faces, are developing workforce system partnerships with CalFresh Employment and training programs. And a lot came out of that meeting, or that forum that we had this morning. And finally, we have this forum, which is developing strategies to strengthen services to English language learners, foreign-born individuals, and refugees. One optional topic that I will put in the plan is the modification and updates to existing plan based on changes to labor market or economic conditions or other factors. 2 years ago, when we prepared the local plan, you'll may remember, but unemployment was significantly higher than it is now. And so we'll have to talk about how unemployment has, in Kern County is lowered, but certainly is not as much as it has throughout the state of California. So let's get to why we're here today. So the state board requires that counties with 15% or more limited English proficient, or they call it LEP, to adequately describe, access the needs of, and plan for serving LEP population in their jurisdiction through the following. 1, service delivery strategies and new partnerships. The goal is to improve labor market outcomes for English language learners, the foreign-born, and refugees. The state board wants local partners, including all workforce development boards, to brand resources and coordinate services delivery to people who are English learners, the foreign-born, and refugees, including increasing access to sector pathway programs, supportive services, and retention efforts. In addition, the state board desires that each regional consortia collaborate to better serve the educational needs of adults. So we appreciate you coming today. If you have any questions afterwards and you didn't ask them here, my email address as well as the presenter's email address will be available at the end, and feel free to email us. Those questions will be presented in part of the local plan. At the end, your name won't be listed. So, and by the way, there's no crazy question. Couple, small things that we should talk about. When there's going to be a dialogue between you and the presenter, what I'd like you to do is 2 things. When you initially, I'm going to hand you the mic, so that way that it's recorded, as well as everyone can hear you. Please don't hold the mic like this, because what happens is that it's very difficult for the individual who's going to be putting this into notes or transcribing this meeting. And so it's very difficult for her to be able to understand what you're saying. So if you could hold the mic away from your face, I'd be very appreciative. Secondly is that when you initially talk, please identify who you are and spell your last name for the record. And for the second time that you speak, please identify, hey, my name is whatever, Michael Saltz, which is my name, and that way that you don't have to spell your name, all you have to do is just spell it once. So that makes it very easy for Marcia, who's Teresa's secretary, to transcribe this into a written form, which we have to submit to the state as part of the plan. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Thatcher Weldon. And I have to tell you, and I've said this at the beginning, both Benita and Thatcher have been just awesome with regards to partnering with us, and we continue to look forward to do that. But let me tell you about Thatcher. He's a program director for the Kern County Adult Education Consortium, which currently serves over 13,000 students located in 10 school districts and 3 community colleges. He previously served as the primary contact for the Monterey Peninsula Adult Education Consortium and the Permian, is that, did I spell that, say that?
Permian.
Basin Adult Education Consortium in West Texas, my apologies. Before working in the field of adult education, Thatcher worked as an English as the second language instructor and administrator in California and South Korea. He finds adult education to be the most rewarding work he has done because of his dedication to students that they serve and diversity of the students, faculty, and staff that all work together to make their program successful. Please, let's give a warm welcome to Thatcher.
All right, thank you. Thatcher Weldon, W-E-L-D-O-N. You're gonna have to remember that, so.
Sorry.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. So I'm going to start just to give a brief background of adult education in the state, how we got to where we are today, and then talk a little bit about what we do here in the Kern Adult Education Program Consortium. And then we'll get to the questions for the forum. So this is the mission of adult education in the state of California. California adult educators in K through 12 and community colleges work synergistically with workforce and education partners, community stakeholders, and industry through the Adult Education Block Grant, which is now the Adult Education Program. It's an ongoing fund. 71 consortia to ensure that students are prepared for life, for work, and to support their families and strengthen communities, no matter where they are in their educational journey. So anybody who comes through our doors and is over 18 and they want to learn, we will give them services and we'll provide that education for them that they're looking for. So the state of California defines adult education in belonging to one of 7 program areas. Adult basic and secondary education, so these are programs in elementary and secondary basic skills, including programs leading to a high school diploma or high school equivalency, so high school diploma programs and GED. English as a second language and citizenship, so programs for immigrants eligible for educational services and citizenship, English as a second language and workforce preparation, so contextualized English classes. Career technical education, a variety of career training programs that deliver customized curriculum needed to meet the diverse training and development needs of business, promote a skilled workforce with high growth and high wage employment potential, leading to industry certifications or meeting the required prerequisites and foundations for advanced career pathways. And this is one of the areas we're really working on right now in adult education. We're trying to build these career pathways for our students, meaningful career pathways, so that when they finish our programs, they can find careers to support their families and themselves. Workforce reentry. So this would be programs for adults including but not limited to older adults that are primarily related to entry or re-entry into the workforce. This could be previously incarcerated adults coming to our programs looking for work. This could be people who are needing a career change because they were laid off. Could be refugees coming to the country and who are skilled, who are looking for work. Training to support child school success. So programs for adults including but not limited to older adults that are primarily designed to develop knowledge and skills to assist elementary and secondary school children to succeed academically in school. So if there's somebody who wants to just learn so that they can help their children or grandchildren in school, they can come get services from us and we can create those programs. Programs for adults with disabilities. This is one of the areas as a whole state we really need to improve on in adult ed. And this is one of the things we're really going to be looking at with our new upcoming 3-year plan for our consortium. But programs for individuals with physical, cognitive, mental, sensory, or other medical disabilities who may need special education assistance or who require a modified program. And pre-apprenticeships. So programs offering training activities conducted in coordination with one or more apprenticeship programs approved by the Division of Apprenticeship Standards for the occupation and geographic area. So these are the areas we can use our funds to develop programs in, these 7 areas. So before I talk about the planning phase of adult education and how we got here, back in 2008, adult education funding was cut drastically in the state and in the country. A lot of programs were shut down. We lost a lot. So in 2013, there was an idea to rebuild adult ed. And they divided service into 72 consortia back then. And all consortia consist of one community college district and at least one school district, okay? Somewhere along the line, one consortia or 2 consortia combined, and now we're at 71 consortia throughout the state, including our consortia, the Kern Adult Education Program Consortium, not Kern County, because we're also in Yo and Mono County. So that's a typo. Okay, so AB 86 was 2013 to 2015. The state provided a $25 million grant for consortia to get together and plan programs, what we were going to do. And the formal planning process was in March 2015 with implementation to start in the fall of 2015. Okay. And Assembly Bill 104 was the implementation grant phase. Okay, and that was a $500 million grant split up between all 71 consortia in the state to better serve adult students. The funding formulas were calculated with equal value to each of these factors. Educational attainment, how many people in the consortia regions have a high school diploma, the unemployment rate, the adult population, how many people are 18 and over, poverty levels, adult literacy being at 7th grade level, and ESL, the ability to speak English. So how big of a population for all of these? Okay. So the funding formula right here shows you, do we have a Kern down here? And it's kind of hard to read. I'm sorry, I took it from a PDF, but the total population, and it has all those categories right there, and you can compare to some of these other areas. And that's how we got the amount our grant was here, based on all these formulas. Okay. So, Kern Consortium, we are the largest geographic consortia in the state of California. We go from Porterville all the way down to Tehachapi, over to Mojave, North Edwards, and then up to Mammoth Lakes, and that's our service area. So it's a really, really large service area, lots of different industries in all those areas of service. We're large and we're going to keep continuing to grow. So right now we consist of 10 school districts and 3 community college service providers. And the way it was decided before I got here, but they divided it up into 4 subregions. So we have the Porterville subregion, which consists of Porterville Adult School and Porterville College. The North Kern, Delano Adult, Wasco Adult, McFarland Adult, and Bakersfield College Delano campus. And then we have the Bakersfield subregion, which is our largest subregion, consists of Bakersfield Adult School and Bakersfield College. And then the Eastern Sierras, which is our largest geographic area, consists of Tehachapi Adult, Mojave Adult, Muroc Adult, Sierra Sands Adult, Mona County Office of Education, and Saracoso Community College. Okay, so it's a huge area. Who do we serve? Like I said, anybody over the age of 18 can come through our doors and get services for high school diploma, GED, English as a second language and citizenship, adults with disabilities, and programs for adults to help students succeed academically. Some of our programs may have requirements for registration, like an English language level, a high school diploma. So those might be short-term CTE programs, pre-apprenticeship programs. And then when students go to some of our college programs, they might have to pay some college registration fees. Okay. Okay. So any questions on this, on our consortium, what adult education is? Yes.
Michael Saltz, Marcia.
Can you spell it?
My name. So is the size of your consortium, is that an issue with regards to being able to provide services?
It's a challenge, especially because of the diversity of our programs. Bakersfield serves a very different population than the students we serve up in Mammoth Lakes, in the Eastern Sierras. So it can be challenging, but it can also give us the opportunity to come up with a lot of creative ideas and programs. Yeah.
John Spalding, I'm with the Building Trades Council here in Bakersfield, or Kern, Indio, and Mono. You have pre-apprenticeship. Are you doing pre-apprenticeship at this time, or are you trying to do that through the workforce investment program?
I don't believe we have any pre-apprenticeship programs right now at any of our sites, but we'd love to. At my previous consortium, we had done a electrician's pre-apprenticeship program, and it was very successful. The students were going through and getting jobs right after, so getting into apprenticeship. So yeah.
I'm turning to Michael, and Michael, is this what we're talking about, like yesterday? Is this going to play into adult education? Is this a separate entity?
No, absolutely. Sorry, absolutely. So just to let you all know is that yesterday we had a meeting. It wasn't a convening. It was part of the regional plan to deal with the MC3 curriculum for pre-apprenticeships and apprenticeships, and through unions. And I have to tell you that it's, after talking to John and learning more about this, it's as Jim said, it's the best kept secret in Kern County. It is, and Jim was someone who was at the meeting yesterday, so I wasn't calling John Jim.
This is John?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So, and it's John Spalding. So the thing is that we plan to, in fact, that was one of the things that we talked about afterwards, is we plan to have more meetings to get together with not only Kern High School District, but with, Bakersfield Adult School, with others, so that way that we can improve the enrollment that you all have with regards to the pre-apprenticeships and apprenticeships and the programs that you offer. So we're looking forward to doing that. And again, that's another reason why having these local forums has been so successful, because it provides, we all kind of work together, but we don't work together. And so by learning more about what each entity does and how we can improve our services to the individuals with barriers, that makes a big difference, and it will in the future. So,
Yeah.
anything else, John?
Just a question. I'm John Spalding again. When you indicate your adult education, are you tied with the adult education on Mount Vernon?
Yeah, so I work
Is that
with...
part of the consortium?
Yes. So all of those, so that's through Bakersfield Adult School, right? And I work with all of those schools I listed.
Got it.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I understood.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Okay. So yeah, we serve anybody who comes through the doors, like I said, and I'm trying to think what else to add. No? Okay. I do want to add one thing. So you guys all, I brought this, and I hope everybody picked one up. This is a publication that the consortium put together so we could get out there into the community and let people know what we do. It has a lot of student success stories in here. And then it also has all the contact information about our adult schools, our community colleges, and it lists all the different programs they offer. So if you know anybody who could use some services, give this to them and let them get in contact with us. And like I said, a lot of our programs are no cost to the student. So it's a really great deal. And a lot of the CTE programs are much more affordable offered through our adult schools than if they were to go through a private school or another training source. So, okay. So please take a look at that. We're also in the development of a consortium website so we can get more outreach in social media. So we really want to get out there in the community, let them know what we're doing. Okay. And so I'll go on to the questions for the forum. So how can local partners braid resources and coordinate service delivery to English language learners, refugees, and foreign-born clients for sector pathway programs, supportive services, and retention efforts? So what can the Workforce Development Board and its partners do to provide the best service possible to students and clients in need of our programs? Yes.
So one of the things that I was just talking to DOR about, which is Department of Rehabilitation, for those of you who don't know, is that I work for Employers Training Resource. I'm a contracts administrator. We have analysts at Employers Training Resource, and the whole purpose is to get funds into our area. We run grants, and there are clearly needs in our community in order to help individuals who are English language, who have English language barriers. And to me, it makes sense to work together as a collaborative team versus us writing grants that we could have thought of something better to seek money towards. And so I hope out of this that we will be able to have a team from DOR, DHS, EDD, ETR, KCCD, and other, Kern County Superintendent of Schools, and Kern High School District, etc. Because money, for instance, there's a grant that's available, it's called WAF, it's the Workforce Accelerator Fund, 7.0. It comes out for innovative ideas. It could be about anything. And it's $350,000. And if we don't capitalize on this and work together as a partnership, money goes to other communities that really deserves to be here. We have the highest unemployment rate, one of the highest in the state, and we are unfortunately #1 in the country with regards to what they call opportunity youth, but they used to call it disconnected youth. I mean, we really need to make an effort to make a change in this community to help out individuals and bring them up and help remove their barriers. And I really encourage all of you who are here that if you're in an organization, that we need to really work together to make that change.
No, yeah, I have lots to say, but more I gotta get more information.
Our kids too, unfortunately.
Sure, absolutely. And let me just tell you, I'm sorry, this is all about dialogue. And the reason why this is important is because we are going to use this to help with regards to our local plan, to determine what we're going to do in the future. KCCD has their thoughts, we have our thoughts, but you know what? Getting the more thoughts together, more ideas makes us a better community, makes us a better workforce. So please feel free to say whatever you want, and we appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Lupe Gary, AGUIRRE from Bakersfield College, our adult education program. So one of the things we've been doing in the last year, which Kim included, is going out to the vineyards to talk to the farm workers. We find a lot of English language learners who want to get out of working in the vineyards. So just taking the information out there has been very helpful, as well as foreign-born clients. There's quite a bit of people we run into who have degrees in foreign countries and don't know the process of getting that transferred over, or just learning the language and being able to use that, some of that degree.
Yep.
So that's one of the things we've been doing lately.
Yep.
So let me just tell you that, and I don't want to take up everything, but the thing is that I don't know if you know this, and this was written in our plan 2 years ago, is that the Kern Library, we have Rosetta Stone at all the libraries. People can actually check out the Rosetta Stone and use it in their home, so that way they can learn whatever language. If you want to learn English, that's awesome, that was the intent, but you can learn Spanish, you can learn Chinese, whatever, or Mandarin, actually, it's not Chinese, but whatever language you want. So there are services out there that we have, but there's probably better services or improved services that you may know of, that may be being done in a different area or county or region, that we can improve providing services to English language learners. Yes.
Hi, I'm Kim Collins, and COLLINS, and I'm also an adult education of the North team, academic liaison. And what we have found is we have a pretty strong ELS program for, and we really shifted in this past year. We're focused on conversation and listening. What we find is that that's a gap that hasn't been addressed in the even in the adult schools, or there's a lot of reading, writing, and grammar, but a lot of them have a lot of language, but they're unable to actually express themselves or communicate or feel the confidence to do that. So we've offered some consecutive courses, 72, 62, 52. What we have found as we've gone out into the fields and into other areas is that they're not always ready, even if they've been in some kind of language class for several years, to take the lowest level college offers. So I offer a preparatory course for that demographic of students. So we have one that's out at Lost Hills, we have one that's offered out at Delano, we've been out in Wasco. So that's a resource. It's just been a really great bridge to be able to put a face, a person that they know, someone that they get comfortable with, so that they can make that next step into the MLS program.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's a good point too. And Lupe works at the Job Spot, which is co-location of Bakersfield Adult School and Bakersfield College. And one of the most important aspects of that is that they get to know Lupe, they get to know the people from the college and feel more comfortable with the college setting too. Thank you.
My name is Kelly Kulzer-Reyes, Kulzerreyes. There's a hyphen between there. Good luck with that. So I've got a couple of questions. I'm from Taft College. We are the West Kern, whatever the acronym is this week. And I've got a couple of ideas, thoughts. Childcare is a huge barrier. Transportation is a huge barrier. There are tons, sorry, I got to number 3 accidentally. But we also have concerns with the political climate. If I access this, is my immigration status going to be a problem? Is this considered a means test, or what is it? What's the new thing that we're going to be banning? Means tested or means, when people access services, is this going to be held against me? Thank you. And well,
Right.
there's an actual, but any public services, is this going to count against me? How do we address marketing, fear, and making sure that all of our clients, our students, are safe and that they feel that they are welcome where they want to learn English? This is a huge issue.
Yeah.
I mean, and it happens I've been in the county about 14 years now, and I've been teaching ESL that whole time. It happens every couple of years. We have this discussion about what we want and what we don't want, and it's very problematic. Is anything working anywhere?
I think all programs after this, in the past couple of years, have seen drops in students in ESL. All our sites are safe spaces for students, and we try and let them know that, and that if they don't, we don't ask for a social security number when they come to us and register. That's not part of our intake process. So
what transpired at one of the forums with regards to child support services is that they were having a similar problem. Okay, the non-custodial parent would be afraid to go into child support services, and that's the reason why they weren't paying child support, because it's, if any of you know where their location is, it's downtown, and the district attorney's office is upstairs, and the crime lab. So they kind of, because it looks like an official building, they felt inhibited to go in the building. Well, guess what? Elizabeth Chavez had the foresight to say, hey, this is hurting our community. So they're moving at the end of the year to a new location on Buckowens Boulevard to eliminate that. And so it doesn't look like an official county building to where people are scared. The problem is that there needs to be word of mouth and advertising to make that change. And I can tell you that the workforce board, if there's anything that we could do to help that, please let us know. I mean, and I think having information in terms of flyers, etc., just to indicate that it's a safe space, that they don't have to worry. That's really what's important, because we all want to. I mean, everyone in this audience wants to improve the labor market with regards to English learner barriers.
Sorry, I just wanted to follow up. I know that this is more complicated than probably this particular group can handle. Oh, I'm still Kelly Felser-Reyes, sorry. But one of the things that happened even in recent times, and we have had trouble just in Taft because we did offer non-credit ESL on our campus, and that was me. And then once the ABG was AB 86, moved our program somewhere else, and I was no longer involved with the program. And now we're trying to build a bridge between the two communities or two areas of education. But what happens every time something happens on the news, someone finds out ICE is in town or ICE is doing something, we lose an entire class. 30 people, 40 people were attending regularly, and all of a sudden it's silent. It's a big, not to overemphasize the point, but we could build these amazing programs. If we can't calm that down, it won't matter what we've got in place.
Tommy Monreal, M-O-N-R-E-A-L. I work with the Department of Rehab. I'm a counselor there. And I think that changing the philosophy of our consumers, I get I shouldn't say elderly, the more mature person who's a Spanish speaker, and they believe that after they hit a certain age that they cannot be educated anymore, or that they can't retain the information. So I always hear, and I spend so much time trying to convince them that they can go to school and learn, but they have that barrier that is generational, that after a certain age, you can't retain information, and I think we have to change that philosophy in that population.
Do you have any ideas?
If I had more time to convince them,
Right.
And if more people were doing the same thing and maybe marketing and showing successful stories, I know that you all have great stories to tell, and maybe just make it more available
Yeah.
and more available to the partners, so then I can say, hey, you know something, I'm gonna use this. So these guys made it, you can do it too. So that motivation, that we need a little bit more information on
Yeah.
that, so we can show them visually, I think would be a big asset.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's Kim Collins again. And I've been really trying to think because we haven't had that issue. So I'm trying to see what the difference is because I look at Pennsylvania, Lost Hills, Lost McFarland, and it's, you know, the high percentage of the students don't have documentation. You know, I don't know, I think that I don't know how many organizations you have there. What's the name of the organization we have that goes out into the community and gives them information about what to do if ICE comes to your, yeah. But we've had out in the community where they've come out and we've given a workshop. Yes, the attorneys did workshops. So we really reached out to the community to have some of those community members come out, just and give, not just just to the students that are enrolled, but just in general to those communities. I know they've been strongly supportive. One of my students that was in one of my classes was picked up by ICE. And, you know, I wrote a letter just in support and submitted it. And, you know, the college allowed me to, I mean, they distanced themselves because they didn't have personal interaction with this person, and allowed me to use that professional headline, whatever the word I'm looking for. Letterhead? Yeah, letterhead, thank you, that's the word. And then this student ended up being able to stay. I don't know the circumstances, came back in, and I think just all of those things combined. So they see, oh, this is a supportive place. If something happens, I can actually go to these people for support, or they're bringing all these programs in. I don't know. I don't have a lot of answers, but I'll just throw that out there.
Lupe and Gary again. So to respond to Tommy, I know when we talk about at Bakersfield College, we have EMLS, which is English for multilingual students. That is the next step after ESL. So when they're at the adult school doing ESL, the next step is they come over and take our courses. One thing we've been doing we know they're scared, it's college level now. We have what we call sample of course events, where we open the door of the classroom and they can come in that one day and just sit in the class and see what it's about, what's being taught there. Delano does it. Now the job spot, we're going to be doing that as well. So that helps the students. And we have, if you look in that, the brochure, that little newspaper, we have one student in there who was at the adult school, and he started inquiring about his daughter, what she needed to do. So then it was that conversation, like, hey, what about you? What are you gonna do? And so now he's enrolled full-time at BC. So he took that next step.
Oh, yeah,
And I'm going to shut up after this.
No.
Anybody who wants to grab it. But yeah, thinking of that sample of course, when we went out to the fields and did that outreach, we handed out flyers to them. I mean, probably 1,000 students. Yes, okay, so we had 2, that came. But, we ended up registering. One of them was Monica. And so she was enjoying the program, but she's going to come back and bring a couple of her friends. She really loved the class. And more than anything, she loved the people. I mean, because everybody has the same heart. They're all, hey, it's so good to see you. And here's my cupcakes. And we just make that a special night. for that class with their standpoint. Slower, very slow, which is frustrating me, but it's a start.
So could you share the attorney service that's, so that way she can, do you know?
So with Bakersfield College, they did a couple of panels where they invited attorneys from the community to talk to our students, whether it was our DACA students when certain laws were changing, and those rooms filled up where they had to televise it to a different room because it was an open invitation to the community, students, parents, and that really helped ease their fears. So that did help.
If you have names of attorneys, you'd be willing to share. We don't have that infrastructure in place. So
Yeah, if I can get your email, then I'll look back at who it was exactly and give you those contacts.
And this is a perfect example of why these local forums are so important, because it helps out the community. Any other comments? Gotcha.
One thing I'd like to add too about if students can come through the door, I'm hoping they'll stay and they'll realize they can learn no matter what age they are. I've taught English classes where I had a Turkish military man who came over to live with his son so he could help raise the grandchild, sitting there working with a woman from South America who never got a high school diploma, and they're working together, they're learning English, and it becomes a great community. And a lot of the outreach becomes the students going out and letting people know about our services. But hopefully with our website and social media, we'll get out there more and advertise to everybody, and we can show some of our classes in that. So, yeah. So question 2, how can the Workforce Development Board and its partners work together to ensure that English language learners, immigrants, and refugees have the opportunity to retain a seat in and go through our programs into livable wage jobs and careers?
Any comments?
Anybody?
Thoughts, suggestions? So I have a question. Are your services or the services like that that you were talking about, are they free or they're free services?
Yes.
So I can tell you that, and I'm pretty, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but I have a gardener, and he's the greatest guy in the world. I mean, I've had him for 15 years. And to this day, when I need to talk to him, I have to communicate with his wife, who speaks English, to be able to communicate with him. And he's actually a legal resident. And so it frustrates me to get, and I've spoken to him several times because although he enjoys what he does, which is half the battle, and most of us may not enjoy what we do, but the mere fact is that he can expand his business so much by being able to speak English, but for him it's difficult to go and get that education. I guess to me is, how do you change that mindset? If you hear generations, you talk to his father-in-law, who comes over and helps out sometimes. The guy's like at 80 years old, and he's like an ox. But the mere fact is that he speaks Spanish. He doesn't even speak a word of English. I mean, and how do you change that mindset in families? That, to me, is the biggest question, because once you change that mindset, you're able to, change the barriers to improve to improve their lives. How do you make that change? And let me get just one more thing. When my grandfather came to America, he was actually from Poland. He didn't speak a word of English, but when he came in, one of the requirements when he was in Staten Island, when he came over on a boat, one of the requirements was just to learn English, to be able to assimilate into the communities. And it doesn't seem like that's a requirement anymore. And maybe that's the reason why we're in this dilemma. Anyone have any suggestions?
Me again. So one of the things when we've been doing outreach, like I said, we went to the vineyards. Bakersfield Adults will join us. So if any of you know Joe Turner, he went out with us. He's very, very tall, and he was a professional basketball player before. So for him to go out there and talk to the farm workers and tell them, hey, if I can learn Spanish, he spoke to them in Spanish. He said, if I can learn Spanish, then you can learn English. So it just puts that thought in their head, like, hey, maybe I can. Or when we do other outreach events, just talking to parents. That way it helps them connect with their children when they're learning the language. So once they're in those EMLS classes, we continue that conversation, like what's next? Once you feel comfortable with the language, with the reading, the communication, what's next? We have a lot of, for Bakersfield College, a lot of CTE programs, short term. Some are 2 classes, some are 4 classes, and just getting them connected to those career specific, and then to job developers, whether it's through BC, through DHS, through ETR, knowing what the next step is. Okay, you're finishing your certificate, let's start looking for employment.
We have a rack we have at the America's Job Center where you can place information in. Do you guys have information in there so that way that individuals who come to the center can realize that they can get free classes on how to speak English? Do you guys have brochures or flyers?
We'll be taking them out or sending them out.
Okay, that'd be great. That's the first step.
Have them go to the marketing department.
I'm sorry?
Have them go to the marketing department.
Okay, go to the marketing department.
Hi, I'm Lisa Caudillo, Caudillo with Proteus Inc. And I just wanted to address the lady's question for information. I believe the group that you were referring to, it's a community-based organization based out of Fresno, and it's volunteerism pretty much. A lot of lawyers, nonprofits, community organizations working together, but there are organizations, I believe, down here in Bakersfield that are also part of that. And I know it as Civic, C-V-I-I-C. They are on Facebook and the internet, or you can find them on vallecentral.org. There's also a part of that group there's a College of Law, San Joaquin Valley College of Law, I believe out of Clovis, that has grants through the government. And they offer a lot of assistance, free assistance to students addressing immigration questions or assisting them filling out their citizenship applications. But there was a number, because I believe there's going to be information given out in Bosco. You can try calling this number. It's 661 area code 527-0357. And I'm sure anybody who answers that phone will be able to provide you with information. We had previously worked with McFarland Unified and Wasco Unified, starting up their ESL and citizenship classes. And we worked with this organization to come out and present to students. So that will help you if they can come out to your classes. And if they can, they will. They travel and their heart's in it for the students. So that's all.
Any other comments? One other thing is that maybe, and obviously I'm not at the level of making this decision, but we have AJCCs, we have comprehensive and affiliated specialized centers. Maybe because they feel comfortable about going into an AJCC, that individuals, because we have classrooms that are there, again, I have to get this, passed through an employer resource. But maybe holding classes there, because it's not really a governmental building, although it is, that any of our locations could be utilized for teaching English and helping remove that barrier. Because people already go there for the resume building, people already go there for job development, and they feel a lot more comfortable about doing that. I'm just throwing that as a suggestion. Any other comments? Gotcha.
Okay, so number 3, what are the barriers that keep clients from receiving services from the Workforce Development Board and its partners? We got childcare, yeah, that's a big one. Transportation, another big one. Especially in some of our rural areas, that can be a big deal. We have interest in expanding services to Trona area in the Eastern Sierras, in the Bishop area, where right now we don't have adult education services outside of the community college. So, you know, I know Trona, I don't know a whole lot about that area, but I think Trona's maybe a 15-minute drive into Ridgecrest where there is adult education. And that might not seem like too much to many people, but to a lot of people that is a big deal. And I don't know that there's a bus system that goes down there. So these are issues that could be barriers to our students and our clients. Yeah.
John Spalding. I do know that GET is starting to offer some free services for students, and that might be extended for even going to the Workforce Investment Board for those programs that you're talking about, Michael. Get with Kern and see if that can be extended, because a lot of these people just don't have transportation.
Right.
I think the number one issue would be transportation. Not the first day, they can always get a ride the first day and maybe even the second day, but it's that continual that they need to do. And if GET is available to do this by, they'll pick up on it quicker.
Any comments? And I just want to go back to question 2. How can the Workforce Development Board and its partners work together to ensure? I think for me, I'm very aware of opportunities that community college, that Bakersfield College and Bryan campus, and the surrounding adult schools. But if someone said, well, what does the Workforce Development Board offer? That's a good question. Or I've had students that come to me looking for, that aren't necessarily wanting to do college, excellent, that are interested in apprenticeship. I'm going to tell you straight up, that is not an easy process to find if you don't have contacts already. So I don't know if could be a central place where some of this is. I think the coordination problem is very, very real for each individual part to know what the other part is doing.
Well, I kind of will answer that. Just to let you know that Employers Trained Resource, which many of you have heard of, is the fiscal administrative agent for the Kern and Mono Workforce Development Board. And so if you ever want to come down, I can give you my card and you want to tour and see what we do, you're more than welcome. I mean, we service a lot of clients, and we do that in partnership with DHS, DOR, with EDD and many others. Those are the core partners that are actually in the main facility, which is in Southeast Bakersfield. But anytime that you want to see, and let me tell you, we have board meetings, meaning the Kern and Mono Workforce Development Board has board meetings, and they're open to the public. I mean, you can learn a lot. They're actually, Marco does an amazing job with that as well. He actually films that, and it's on our website. So you can go to ETR online, and, or you can go to the Kern and Mono Workforce Development Board, and it'll take you there. So there's a lot of options that are available, so you can see what we're all about. But if any of you ever want to come down and see a tour of our, or get a tour of our facility, or learn more about what we do, feel free to notify me or anyone that works at a Trade Resource. We're glad to let the public know more. I mean, and one of the barriers that we have is people think that we charge, that there's a fee, and that we're completely free. We're federally funded, and we get our money not through Kern County. We get our money through grants. So it's so we have barriers as well as people coming into our offices. But for all of you, please feel free to contact me. Any other comments? Yep.
Jessica Beale again. I just wanted to also ditto the issues that have been brought up, but also add that even when there's bus services, another barrier is that they don't run late enough. We offer some ESL entry-level classes, and what we're trying to do is after they've learned some English, we want them to continue on at their local community college to keep increasing their English level. But the problem is the buses don't run late enough for them. So it's not always just a financial issue. They don't mind paying the bus, but the bus doesn't run late enough to get them back home. And also another barrier for English learners to get into CTE trainings is that a lot of CTE trainings require high school diploma, again, that certain level. They have to know more or less English in most of those trainings. And so when they don't have that English yet, because it's a process to learn, then that's a barrier for them to get going on that, so.
Any other comments, concerns, thoughts? How's reading? You can say something.
Linda Reed, R-E-E-D, and I'm talking in regards to transportation. We kind of have to think out the box because, like you said, the buses are not running late and they don't run on certain days. But there's Uber and Lyft, and we need to kind of consider those things because they run anytime. Some type of support services, bringing those services into someone's agency. So we can issue maybe passes for Uber and Lyft because that is an alternative. A lot of people are using those services, even people that work at these facilities with us. Instead of buying cars, they're Ubering to work every day. You know, car sharing. So we got to kind of think out the box when it comes to the transportation for our customers because things are changing and they're changing daily.
One last thing.
Sure.
Golden Empire Transit is also looking at the Uber and Lyft addition to their bus fleet. And that would be a different time frame and an opportunity. But there again, I think it's a matter of you contacting them and finding out, letting them know what your needs are and seeing how they can start this program up. But they're very interested in getting that program off the ground.
Certainly. Let me make just one comment with regards to Uber and Lyft. My daughter lived, and I know that in different areas they're different, but my daughter lives in Chicago, and the law firm that she works with contracts with them, and they actually lower their rate because this is like an everyday. They pick my daughter up because they want her to be safe, and they drop her off, and so the rate is significantly less than what she would pay normally because it's an everyday affair. If a person's taking a class and it's like once a week, they know that that's a guaranteed fare, and they will reduce their rate so that way they can do it accordingly. So there are other options if money's not an object. But as what Linda Reed said, is that that's what supportive service is all about. If they're unable to pay, and obviously they have to be part of, they have to be enrolled, they have to be enrolled and meet certain criteria, they'd be able to get supportive services.
Thank you. Kelly Colzer-Reyes. We actually live in Pine Mountain Club, and Fraser Park has a fantastic library. Are there any of these classes? I mean, I know Taft is not allowed to do any work in that area because it's part of Bakersfield College's district. I would love to offer ESL classes up there. We've got the population for it. I've never seen one offered anywhere. Is there?
At the libraries,
I mean, there's a place, there are people, I mean.
Okay.
In Fraser Park. And the whole mountain community area, we have a GET system that if we planned it around that schedule or made sure that they knew that that schedule existed, we could probably facilitate that more easily.
Okay.
But I think it was a Fraser Park, I'm not from here, I'm from Maine, but is it Fraser Park in Los Angeles County?
No, Fraser Park is in Kern County.
Oh, it is? Okay, my apologies.
That's okay. No,
Obviously,
it's okay.
I better go back to
Let's
school.
be in Kern County.
Okay, so Thatcher, you Is there a way that something like that could?
Yeah, that's something we could talk about and look into building we're in our 3-year planning process this year for the next 3 years, so that'd be good feedback for us to know. We're looking into the labor market data, what types of career and technical education pathways we should be building, and then also we're looking at some of these similar things. What are the barriers our students are facing, and how do we get out to the areas that we aren't serving right now? So,
Do you have a card that you can provide for that?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Any other comments, thoughts? Gotcha.
Okay.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Can you make sure you identify yourself again?
My name is Ismael de Leon, ISMAELDELEON, from the Department of Rehab. There's a on the state website, there's on the Department of Labor, there's a link where you go under in apprenticeships and just put in the county, give the list of apprenticeship programs that exist, and their direct contact to whom to contact in regards for those services as well.
Say that one more time.
The Department of Industry.
Department of Industry?
Yes, Department of Industry and something else. My phone died, so I can't give it to you directly, but it's that. Just put California Apprenticeship Department, and it should give you a link towards it. And it'll give you, just type in the county and type in just the county, and it'll give you a list of apprenticeships, or it would even give you what type of apprenticeships you're interested in. It will give you a list of where those are offered as well.
Of course.
Beth Carter, CARTER. What's the difference between a pre-apprenticeship and an apprenticeship class?
John, do you want to talk about that in terms of what you guys do? And then I can talk about that in terms of...
Pre-apprenticeship is a short-term class, about 6 weeks, where students enroll minimum amount of hours a day, maybe 6 hours a day for 6 weeks, and they go to various apprenticeship, and the instructors that are training their apprentices come and do these pre-apprenticeships so that they give them a sampling of what it's like and what's going to be required for becoming an apprentice and what it would be like to work at the trade. A lot of times they just don't know what the trade is really like, and they don't know what's really offered out there. And apprenticeship is when you have been enrolled and accepted into an apprenticeship program, and know that number one thing is almost always you will have to have an high school education or GED equivalent, and you will have to have transportation. Because apprentices, when they are enrolled in the program, they work and they earn while they learn. They don't pay for their apprenticeship training. And some of these programs are 4, most of them are 5-year programs. They do not pay for that. It's paid by the apprenticeship, the union and the contractors call the apprenticeship council to pay for those. So whatever craft they end up choosing, but the pre-apprenticeship is more like a sampling of a half a dozen to 7 or 8 different kinds of trades. So they'll have it for a while, for 3 or 4 days or 5 days, and then they'll move to another classification, say cement masons, or say bricklayers, or say operating engineers, or say electricians, or say plumbers and fitters. All of these things are specific apprenticeable programs. You just mentioned, go to that website, you'll find out all of the apprentice programs that are available in our area. These are handled by the trades, which I run the building trades, and so they are all part of the building trades. But they have their individual apprenticeship programs. Pre-apprenticeship is kind of a sample.
So let me just make a comment first that I don't know how many of you were fortunate enough to attend the Workforce Summit a couple weeks ago. But one of the topics that was discussed was apprenticeships. We are on the cusp, and when I say cusp, because I'm negotiating a contract with the state of Washington, and they call it Career Connect Washington. There are 2 states that are actually well advanced with regards to apprenticeships, and this is with regards to high schools. It's Colorado and Washington State. And so we have, Teresa and a team of us have spoken to the Department of Labor and others in the state to try to get apprenticeships in California, particularly because, as I think I said earlier, because we are the #1 disconnected youth rate in the country. So we're trying to make a change, trying to think outside the box. I mean, we've just opened up not too long ago the Epic Center, which is a youth center to try to get youth between ages of 16 and 24 more engaged. But in this case, we're looking at the state of Washington because they emphasize internships and apprenticeships. So what we're hoping to do, and hopefully this will be something that comes out at the beginning of next year, is take a state that has actually been extremely successful. I mean, they've been received awards and accolades from the Department of Labor in Washington, D.C., and to mirror that or replicate that, duplicate that here in Kern County. And so we are excited because we're going to be working with Kern Community College. We're going to be working with we're going to be doing this in 2 areas, in Bakersfield and East Kern, because I know that a lot of people think that everything happens in Bakersfield, and we want to make sure, because we are employers for resource, we represent the county, so we want 2 areas represented. Bakersfield and East Kern. And so that's what we're doing. We're going to be partnering with businesses. We're going to be partnering with Kern Community College District. We're going to be partnering with the different high school districts to make this change. And as I said, we're kind of like on the cusp of been working on the contract, and hopefully it'll be signed. We'll have to go in front of the Board of Supervisors sometime at the beginning of the year. But it's exciting because for those of you who've learned about the Swiss model, they have apprenticeships, like literally kids in elementary school start thinking about where they what they want to be, and then they move into high school, and apprenticeships are all scheduled for them, and they have a disconnected youth rate of less than 1% in their country. So we want to start looking at that model, and I know it deviates from this, but in the fact that actually is an important aspect, because individuals who have an English language barrier are going to have difficulty in getting jobs and doing apprenticeships or doing internships. So we really need to make that change. Any comments, thoughts, concerns? Gotcha.
Okay. All right. Okay, so question 4, or 3 up here, but where are the gaps in service that English language learners, refugees, and foreign-born clients experience in the workforce? How can the Workforce Development Board and its partners help to close these gaps? Nothing? How have you heard about the services that the Workforce Development Board and its partners provide, including adult education? What can we do to make sure more English language learners, refugees, and foreign-born clients know about our services? So how do we do that outreach? Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Yeah. Okay.
My apologies. I was looking at this.
Beth Carter, C-A-R-T-E-R.
You don't have to spell your name in a second now.
Okay. I work with clients that have a lot of barriers, and one of the barriers that they have is the information, and that's what we're talking about right here. So when I take my clients out and I walk them around our building, I pick up flyer after flyer after flyer. These flyers that we have are colored. They have information, they have times, they have schedules, they have phone numbers, they have all the information, and they're on separate flyers. That's what brings them in. And what also brings their brothers in, brings their cousins in, it's the information. And if you can get that information out, if you can put it on a brochure, you can put it on a flyer, you can get it out to the community, that's knowledge, and knowledge is power. So when I look you know, when I look at a visual piece of information and I can connect with my client, that's what they're looking at. You know, and they can pass that down, they can pass it around, and they can keep it for however long they need it. So that's what I say.
And let me make a comment with regards to that. Flyers that come out of America's Job Center is done in 2 languages, in Spanish and in English. So anything that you get out of our center, if you're, you're English proficient, you know, you can get it in Spanish. So that, you know, the flyer part would be very beneficial, particularly if it's in their native language. So.
Beale again. I guess for me, I work in the education department of Proteus out of Visalia, and I constantly work with about 4 different WIPs, and they all have their own rules and regulations and whatnot. So for me, I would say I'm very familiar with, you know, that they offer training services and whatnot, but where I really don't know much on is the supportive services that are available, if they are available. And I would hesitate to tell a customer that, because I know it's usually, if they offer it, it's based off the grant they're being sponsored by. But if there's any information where I can guide a student to that would help with that, I'm open ears for it.
Linda, do you want to talk about supportive services through our agency?
Sure.
Hold on. I don't want to put you on the spot, though.
So we have supportive services. Linda Reed, Employer Strength Resource. We do have supportive services for registered customers. It's in our program. And it's, we do childcare, gas vouchers, other services, clothing if necessary. But anything that a customer needs to get a job, maybe special boots, clothing, whatever. But whatever they need, we make sure that they have it to go to work. And so that's through Employer Strength Resource. And we're located, we have 3 locations here in Kern County. We're also in outlying areas as well. And so but they need to be registered in our program to receive those services. Okay, and most of them are for either training, they're in the training program, or they have become employed. We can assist with services to help them get to and from work as well, gas vouchers. And I work with a population of people, CalWorks participants, and our customers, they receive the same services, but through the Department of Human Services, because they are registered customers with them.
So just a point of clarification, we do have 3 comprehensive centers, one in Ridgecrest, one in Delano, and one in Bakersfield, the southeast location. But we have a new facility in Oildale. We have the Epic Center. We have in Taft, Lake Isabella. I mean, there are a lot of areas throughout the county that we have what they call affiliate or specialized centers. So we are everywhere in the county, and so I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, representatives in all of the.
Right. Exactly. The reason why the difference relative to a comprehensive center is because you have all the core partners there: EDD, DHS, ETR, and DOR. So, and the affiliate or specialized centers, like for instance, we have Back to Work Center. Those are mainly for employers who are looking to engage us for job development. But we also have, a specialized center at the upstairs in the library. If any of you have not gone upstairs, I highly encourage you to do so. It is very youth inviting, and so it doesn't look like the normal government building. It looks something really cool. So, but we have other agencies. We have we work with Bakersfield Adult School as the job spot. I mean, we have a lot of other locations throughout the county that provides awesome services as well. Yes.
I don't know for sure if this, I mean, the services that she mostly alluded to do not include academic support. So I know that our program provides also academic support, and that's really to anybody in the community. So helps a lot of people just pass GED specific tests that they're having difficulty with, giving them one tutoring or group tutoring, or pass citizenship tests, giving that one-on-one, going through their booklet and helping them and provide the academic support in the MLS courses so that if they're struggling or in presentation or whatever. So there's, that really is not, that's not limited. That's pretty much anybody in the community. A lot of resume writing support. So there's a lot of academic support through that college adult education program.
Any other comments?
Okay. And then the last question, what are some strategies that we can put in place to ensure that our local boards will work with partners to better serve the English language learner, refugee, and foreign-born clients? I know somebody made a comment that, you know, sometimes we don't know the job training services and all of that. My background's in education too, so partnering with the Workforce Development Board is good. Just knowing what they do and providing our students with the services or the knowledge of what they can get from there. So it's been a good partnership meeting with Michael and working together for us.
Thank you. Is there any other comments or thoughts relevant?
It's fine. My name is Rosinda Garrett. That's G-U-E-R-R-A. And I'm looking at the report and what can we do to make more English language learners, refugees, homeborn families know about the services. Do we collaborate with our faith-based community? Because I know we have a lot of people that attend Spanish Mass, and when they leave with a brochure or bulletin, can we put a flyer on that? Or, you know, to the, I mean, that's just like one way to disseminate this information.
Great to hear.
Yeah, so a lot of the sites in our consortium have been doing their own outreach. So I'm sure some of the sites do work with faith-based organizations. That's one of the areas I really want us to look at as a consortium is putting these newspaper inserts out into the community and in places like that. And then again, building our consortium website, a central location students can come and find out about all the services as well. So that's a really good point. So we're starting that now as a consortium.
I have a question about your flyer, actually. Is it available in Spanish? I'm sorry, Kelly Calza Reyes. Is it available in Spanish? And on the second page, you have an amazing list of awesome jobs that are available with higher wages. Do you guys train all of these areas? Like electrical power line installer and repairer. I could use this career change.
We do a lot of these. Yeah, we do a lot of these. Yeah, I know.
Actually, maybe want to comment to that. Not to put you on the spot, John, because she's interested in being an electrician.
If you have someone, or if you are interested in a particular craft, I'm not the person to talk to. But here's how you do that, is you contact the electrical union by themselves, IBEW, International Union of Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. If it's the laborers, or if it's the carpenters, or if it's the operating engineers, they all have offices right here in Bakersfield. And they all have someone then who will steer you in the right direction, to be available for, make yourself available for whatever. But if you want to call me, and I can steer you in that direction, let me give you my office number is 661-323-7957. And I certainly will call you back and help you get in touch with the right opportunity.
And your full name is John?
Spalding, Spauding. I never did spell it.
Oh, you didn't have to spell it. Marcia, believe me.
can't spell it for the second time.
Yes, exactly. Well, Marcia knows you are, yeah.
So, the other part of the question, is this in Spanish too? So